Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my plus 10 free units video guide. In part 1, we talked about Tempest Trials characters. Starting in part 2, we're looking at Grand Hero Battle units. Let's begin with Arvest. Arvest is the original ploy boy. With his personal weapon, personal skill, and access to defense ploy by default, Arvest has a lot of utility as an offensive support. His stat allocation is good for what he does, but Arvest could really use a little more speed. Like most older mages, Arvest's biggest flaw is his vulnerability to dragons and physical distant counter. He can handle green opponents, but stronger reds and most blues are going to give him a lot of trouble. Moving on, our next unit is Aversa. Those of you playing Aether Raids know just how strong Aversa can be. Compared to Volflame, Aversa's personal weapon is higher risk and higher reward. As long as she has enough HP, which isn't too hard, she throws out constant global debuffs and panic. However, a lot of enemies, including units like armors and dragons, are going to be too bulky and will avoid the effect. HP is good on mages, so having a weapon that encourages you and rewards you for building HP is not bad at all. She scales well with merges and blessings, and will be an all-star for anyone who invests in her. Birkett is less exciting. Basically, with Birkett, what you see is what you get. He's functional, but overall I think he finds himself behind the curve compared to other units. It just takes too much investment to make him shine. I think Birkett is a good project, but I don't think he's a strong Grail target unless you happen to love the character, or you just want extra copies of his lance. Khemu is similarly underwhelming at plus 10, but he does have something going for him: innate distant counter. Khemu has the same problems as Finn and Clive. He's okay, but he doesn't stand out from the wider pool of lance units unless you try and leverage distant counter. That distant counter is useful, but it won't go far on his terrible base res. Khemu is a lot like Ryoma in this regard. He looks like a strong investment, and he used to be much more powerful, but nowadays I think your resources can be better spent elsewhere. What is there to say about Clarisse? Well, not much, sadly. Clarisse has her bow, which can be inherited, and is otherwise completely inferior to Fallen Takumi. You can invest in Clarisse if you want, but I would not recommend it at all. Speaking of Fallen Takumi, he's an interesting unit. His stats aren't the best since he can't get IVs, but his personal weapon gives him a unique niche that no one else can replicate. In modes like Aether Raids, Scotty is hard to play around, while in PvE it provides consistent chip damage for difficult maps. His bulk is mixed, and Takumi can usually take a hit on the chin and survive. He can't take much more than that, mind you, but at least the first hit won't bring him down. Worth noting, because Fallen Takumi has a personal weapon with support capabilities, he is a viable candidate for colorless infantry duel. After a streak of mediocre units, we have King Garen. Garen is a phenomenal plus 10. He has Gen 2 BST, a strong personal weapon, and great mixed bulk. Garen is the only dragon with a real, consistent answer for anti-dragon weapons. He can even brawl with legendary Tiki and survive, if you give him enough support. Garen is like adult Tiki, but with higher res. So, like adult Tiki, you're forced to pick between fully utilizing his personal weapon, using steady breath, and running distant counter. You can have two, but not all three. Garen's similarity to adult Tiki is perhaps his biggest flaw. He's a good unit, but Tiki is a lot cheaper for similar levels of performance. In my experience, Janka is a unit that people forget about. However, with merges, he's surprisingly good. With 36 attack, 32 speed, and 29 defense, he's a side grade or slight upgrade to Leon. He can run any generic bow well, even if he isn't best in class. Leon is a unit that doesn't get the love he deserves, and I expect the same will be true for Janka, but if you do decide to merge him up, I think he'll be stronger than you expect. Julius is an exciting prospect. His novelty carries him really far, and the unique properties of the Loptis Tome make him a weird yet powerful mage. Once you're past the gimmick, Julius is a lot like other slow, high-attack mages. He decimates opponents who have low res, but his mediocre speed coupled with low base defense hold him back in a world dominated by dragons. If you want a powerful, cost-effective mage, you can build up Lilina. But if you want the hero's equivalent of a luxury car, something big, flashy, and let's be honest, kinda silly, then Julius is an option. Male Kana is a no-frills infantry dragon. Give him steady breath, quicker post, Aether, and let him go to town. Although both male and female Kana are roundly outclassed by the new Adrift Corns, they're still on par, if not stronger than most Gen 1 choices. Male Kana has very similar builds to plus speed Noe, and Noe is one of the most efficient, cost-effective units ever released. If you already have some dragons, you may want to give Kana a pass, but if you don't have a plus speed Noe, seriously give him a look. Legion is all about all-out offense, and in that role he excels. He has no trouble ripping and tearing his way through anything that you put in front of him. Sadly though, neither do Raven and Linus. If you want an aggressive, low-to-the-ground axe unit, I'd have to recommend those two instead. Still, it's not like Legion is bad. With 36-35, he honestly can't be. The competition is just a little too stiff to justify spending your grails here. The last unit we're covering today is Linus. If Legion is powerful, then Linus is a unit that goes above and beyond. His stats, when combined with his weapon, are exceptional. When running Fury and the Basilicos together, you pick up a net gain of 8 attack and speed and retain significant physical bulk. His magical bulk isn't even that bad either, given how fast he is. Raven is lean, but Linus is strong, and in no uncertain terms, he is one of the most powerful free-to-play accessible axe units. I expect him to be a popular choice, and he will perform very well with proper care. In general, I feel like Grand Hero units are stronger than Tempest Trials units. They've got more quirks, more gimmicks, and most of them bring something genuinely unique to the table. It's hard to go wrong with any of them. Still, my top 3 out of this group would have to be Aversa, Linus, and Garen. In a sea of good units, I feel like these 3 truly stand out and have a place in the future metagame. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. You can find me on Twitter at DireThunderYT, so feel free to send me cool stuff or just drop by to say hello. As always, I hope to see you next time. Take care.